Welcome to another edition of 42 Straight Years In. On my car date, lady update, I had to go to Baylor Hospital and pick her up. They had told her she was going to be released at 12 o'clock, but it took them forever to get the paperwork together. Then I had to go to the clinic with her, to the pharmacy, so she can pick her medication up. And we finally made it back to the house. That's the saga of the car date lady. She's in good health and good spirit and ready to get back on her job. This segment is going to be about the McConnell Unit. A guard at the McConnell Unit prison in Beeville, Texas, was fatally stabbed a week before Christmas. 3 days later, 80 convicts escaped from their ad-seg cells and took control of the unit for 3.5 hours before riot squads regained control. Texas prison spokesman Larry Todd said the trouble began Friday, December 17th at 3:45 p.m. when 37-year-old prison guard Daniel Nagel was discovered laying in a pool of blood by a fellow guard. Nagel had been apparently stabbed by one or more prisoners near the entrance of a craft area. Robert Pruitt was convicted of stabbing Officer Nagel, and he was given the death penalty. He was given a lethal injection for the fatal attack on correctional officer Daniel Nagel at the McConnell Unit. Nagel was repeatedly stabbed with a tape-wrapped metal rod, though an autopsy showed he died from a heart attack that the assault caused. Prosecutors have said the stabbing stemmed from a dispute over a peanut butter sandwich that Pruitt wanted to take into the recreation yard against prison rules. Now, that's their version of it. Pruitt went to his death, and he never admitted to the crime, and he never told on the other guys if any other guys was involved. The prison was immediately placed on lockdown, and investigators began interviewing all prisoners who were in the area. The attack appears to have been planned, said Todd, but he declined to speculate on a motive. They said that the killing had been planned by members of a prison gang and intended as retaliation for the state's policy on entombing suspected gang members in long-term control unit segregation cells. If you're a confirmed gang member in the state of Texas, you will be placed on administrative segregation for the rest of your sentence, unless you denounce your gang and they got a process you got to go through in order to do that. Reliable sources said that the younger, more militant members of the gang known as the Mexican Mafia recently wrested control from older gang members, most of whom are already consigned to long-term ad-seg units. These younger, more radical gang members intended murdering a guard to send a message. The Texas TDCJ spokesman Glenn Castleberry told the Houston Chronicle that there is no evidence of a conspiracy to kill Nagel. The Chronicle reported that Nagel was thought to have been a target of prisoners. Internal Affairs is convinced that it's only one person who perpetrated the murder. Nagel, who worked at the 2,900-bed prison since June the 1st, 1996, was president of the Beeville chapter of the American Federation of State, County, and Municipal Employees, which represent Texas prison guards. He was an advocate for higher salaries and warned that the current low pay, among the lowest in the nation for prison guards, led to short staffing and dangerous working conditions. 2 days after Nagel was killed in the minimum security area of the prison, and while the entire prison remained on lockdown, trouble erupted in the Ad Seg unit. According to Castleberry, at around 3:45 a.m. Monday morning, Ad Seg prisoner William Steve Kelly somehow jimmied the lock on his cell door and got out. Steve then ambushed the guard with a 6 to 8 inch shank, Castleberry said, and forced him into the unit's control booth where another guard was. A struggle ensued, during which one guard was stabbed in the forearm. After Kelly slashed the guard and started punching all the buttons to open the Parts 84 cell doors, the guards fled the control booth. Larry Todd told an Austin newspaper. A third guard fled to an adjacent exercise yard and scaled the fence, leaving the unit in the hands of prisoners. According to Todd, one of the 84 cells was vacant, and 3 of the prisoners stayed in their cells. The other 80 began causing extensive damage. They were breaking all the windows, smashing equipment in the control room, pulling their mattresses out, trying to destroy everything they could. Then they tore the rails off their bunks and used them as battering rams. A general alarm was sounded, and steel riot doors was locked across the hallway to contain the uprising within the cell block. More than 100 guards and riot specialists assembled to retake the cell blocks. Guards and prisoners battled for more than 2 hours before prison authorities gained control at 7:15 a.m. The inmates used towels under the doors to keep out the gas, and a number were running around with wet towels across their faces for the same reason. It took some time, but control was reestablished. The prisoners who participated in the uprising were placed in vans and buses and dispersed to other Ad Seg units around the state. The cell block was sealed as a crime scene as prison officials tallied the damage. Gary Johnson, director of the prison division of TDCJ, said it would be a month before the unit could be repaired and restored to service. Castleberry said the Ad Seg uprising was not related to the killing of Nagel. We would see no relationship between the two incidents, Castleberry told the Houston Chronicle. Nagel was the first Texas prison guard killed since 1982, when Minnie Houston was stabbed to death by a prisoner at the Ellis unit. Nagel is survived by his wife, a former McConnell Unit guard, and 3 young children ages 3 months, 3 years, and 5 years. Castleberry said they have a suspect in the killing, but would not release information. He said official plans to seek charges of attempted capital murder and inciting a riot against Kelly. He is already serving a 99-year term for the attempted murder and aggravated sexual assault. Mostly, all of these large maximum security prisons in Texas, except basically the ones that's in the Huntsville area, are all understaffed. Some of them are severely understaffed. For instance, the Stiles unit in Beaumont, man, it's pathetic over there on staff. They have a high turnover rate. On the weekends, man, you don't hardly be no guards there. None. They stay on lockdown all the time because of shortage of staff. It's poor pay, and it really is an unskilled job. Inmates do any parts concerning labor. The guards ain't got to do them a lot of paperwork and stand around and look and observe. That's basically the job. A guard he got to get the count straight. His number one priority is that count. And if you see a violent he can't handle it, it's to call for backup. But at Stiles unit, 65% of the guards are females. Man, they don't come to work. I be listening to some sergeant be begging, hey man, I need you. Well, I'm busy. My car won't work. They got all types of excuses. They do not want to come to work. They do not want to work. And they get all type of incentives to try to hire guards. Nobody want to work for the prison system. Because they basically confine themselves. They got to come in those hot cell blocks, no air conditioning. They got to be right in there with the inmates. I mean, it is hot. And y'all follow me over on Patreon. The link will be in the description. I still got my shank. Still need my likes. Get off the bullshit. Hit that like button. It don't cost you nothing. Like and subscribe. And I thank you for watching.